Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 30 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Alright, episode 30. Oh boy, sounds like another world download for you guys. Oh yeah. So I'm here doing a little bit of infusion crafting. Okay, we've got a Thaumium Max on there, so that means only one thing could possibly be made right now. I guess maybe one thing. I don't know if there's anything else that can do it. But we've got time for the Axe of the Stream. Yes, I'm very excited to get an Axe of the Stream. You guys might be wondering, why would Direwolf want an Axe of the Stream when he already has one of those hatchets from oh boy, was that the diamond? I think that was the diamond. Go back on there. There you go. See, I told you it's not like guaranteed to prevent the flux, but see, and look, a little bit of extra aspects needed because we had a moment where we didn't have everything set up. Hey, Axe of the Stream, cool, I'm excited. Axe of the Stream is cool. It lets you chop down things really fast. Similar to how fast you can chop things down with the other axe that I have. But the other nice thing about the Axe of the Stream is it also helps to make the leaves fall down faster. That's something that my other axe doesn't do. So I've got this giant greatwood log down here. You can either left click and it'll slowly chop down your wood from pretty much as far away as possible. So it finds the furthest distance piece of wood. Or you can right click. It uses more durability to do it the right click method, but it chops much faster. And we can see all kinds of wood starting to fall down around us. And in a moment here, we're going to get a ton of greatwood logs. That's right. So let's see, what do we got going on here? Oh yeah. This was a really, really large greatwood tree. So we kind of lucked out with our first growth of one. My oh my. Well, I don't think we're going to have to grow another one of these for a while. Wow, this thing's crazy. I can see some blocks breaking. Hooray, we're almost there. See, there they are. So it's going to find the furthest piece of wood away from the one that you're clicking on and start breaking it. So once we get, like, pretty low here, it'll start breaking from the bottom too, because I'm chopping it from the middle. At least I think so. I don't know. Yep, see, it was getting some from the bottom there. There we go. Nice. But if we watch, we'll see, look how quickly the leaves start to break apart. It really rapidly increases the speed at which the leaves are falling, just to really help you out a little bit more. So that's why I like the Axe of the Stream, because you're going to wind up just getting yourself a bunch of saplings that much faster. And holy cow, was that a lot of greatwood logs. Yeah, just a bit, huh? That'll do. I'll definitely accept that as an option. Alright. So now that we've got that all set up, wow, many stacks. What, 4 1/4 stacks? That's craziness. There you go, greatwood logs. Nice. I'll put the saplings in there too. You'll also, maybe, potentially, perhaps, notice that I've got a silverwood sapling in my inventory. That's right, I would like to make, like I mentioned at the end of last episode, I'd like to get myself a few more ManaBeans. Now, in order to do this, we need to find a magical biome. Now, as a matter of fact, cherrywood might be considered a magical biome. I don't know. Cherry Blossom Grove? We can find out pretty easily. You'll know if this is a magical biome or not because you'll be able to walk up to a tree and right-click it with a ManaBean, and it'll go on there. If you right-click and it looks like you're about to eat it, stop. Because while eating ManaBeans is fun, it's a little unpredictable and you might get some crazy effects. Good, bad, I don't know. But they're so useful, I don't recommend eating them until you have a crazy amount. Now, we do have a magical woods biome all the way off in that direction, right? We know that there's a magical woods biome over there, and what we could do, if we wanted to, we could set it up so that the mana farm is over there, and we can plant our ManaBeans on the trees right over here. So let's take a look. If we were to fly over to this magical woods biome, we'd have an example of getting ourselves what we want, which is, here we are, magical forest, okay? Right click, and ta-da, the ManaBean is sitting right on the tree. Now what's going to happen is this is going to grow like cocoa, and we've already seen what it looks like when it's fully grown, but we're not going to do that over here. No, I want to have this growing near our house because I want to make sure it's chunk loaded. Sure, I could set up a chunk loader out there, but then I have to fly back and forth all the time, and you guys know how much I hate doing that. So let's set this up near our house, and then we're going to go and look at how much we can automate the ManaBeans. Cool. So let me sleep through this night, and we're going to start showing you how to set up a ManaBean farm right by your house, even if you're not living in a magical biome. So right outside my house, I'm thinking like right over here, might not be a terrible spot to turn into a magical biome. In order to do that, we simply need to plant a silverwood sapling. So let's consider placing it right there. That seems like a good spot. Now, unfortunately, silverwood saplings do not respond to bone meal. So you're not going to be able to bone meal this thing. You just have to wait patiently for it to grow. Or you're going to have to grab your hoe of growth. That's your other option. You're probably wondering why I made this last episode. Ta-da! We've got an awesome tree here. Now let's see, did we happen to get lucky? We don't have a pure node in here that I can see. I've got my goggles revealing on, right? Yeah, I'm not seeing that. So we didn't get lucky with a pure node. I'm pretty sure you need to have a pure node inside your tree in order for it to actually start converting the terrain. So let's chop this down. Hopefully I'll get another silverwood sapling. I've got a couple more laying around, and I know where I can get some more if I need to. That magical biome seems to have a lot of silverwood trees. So, all right, so bad news is we did not get a silverwood sapling. All right, the other thing you're going to want to remember is these nifty little shimmer leaves. Remember, please keep in mind that you cannot just break them with your fist. If you do, you'll wind up getting quicksilver instead of the actual shimmer leaf, which is probably what you're going to want to get. Shimmer leaves are much cooler than, you know, getting the quicksilver, because quicksilver you can get from mining, so you basically have almost unlimited amount. These guys are a little bit harder to get your hands on, so, and they are actually useful. There's a couple things you can use them for, specifically for taint resistance stuff, so keep that in mind. All right. So now that that did not get us what we wanted, what I'm going to do is see how many other saplings I might have. Silverwood sapling. I know I've got at least one more, so let's request it. And cross our fingers that we get a decent tree that has a pure node inside that will hopefully help us to change stuff nearby. Like I said, not 100% sure if it needs to have a pure node, but I feel like it does. Hey, there we go. Now we're talking. Look at that. Nifty. We've got a pure node in there. So that looks good. Cool. I like that. So that's going to do exactly what we want it to do, and that's going to start converting this area right around here. You can already see it starting to happen. Look, magical forest is the biome I'm standing in all of a sudden. Cool. Cherry blossom biome, magical forest biome, da, da, da. So all around this tree, you'll start to see the ground change color, because remember, the color of grass is determined by the biome that you're in, and you'll start seeing this thing convert the nearby terrain into a magical forest. How cool is that? So this tree is looking good. Nice. So now that we've got a magical forest here, we should be able to plant our mana beans right on this tree trunk. Ta-da! Look at that. Cool. All right, so now that that's optional, let's also look at what else we can do. So if we were to, for example, grab ourselves some wood. I'm just going to get 10 of them. It doesn't have to be on the silverwood tree. It can be on any tree, as long as it's in the right biome. So I'm going to leave the silverwood tree there, and I'm not actually going to plant the mana beans on there. What I want to do is grab some oak wood, and I'm thinking right here should still be magical forest somewhere. Yeah, let's try this. If I build this up like so, can I then start putting stuff on here? I can. Nice. Look at that. Cool. So I think that's my plan. We're going to plant mana beans right here, right near our base. Okay. The other thing that I'm curious about, and I want to kind of test this. Let's clean up this. Get this off. That looks good. I'm actually interested if the lamp of growth helps out with mana bean growth. I'm not too sure about that. We will find out in about a moment, though. Well, you know, I won't find out for sure. I'm going to go plant this here, and we're going to see what kind of speed we get. Again, it's just like these. It's hard to determine exactly what your speed is going to be. You know, so I can't say for certain if it's faster or not, but I'll kind of have an idea once I plant it down. Let's see. So I've got some Herba Essentia in this jar. I've got my lamp of growth ready. Let's plop this guy right here, for example, and you there. All right, so we've already had a little bit of growth right here, so that's kind of good news. I want to kind of watch this for a bit. So the deal is, once these grow to a full size, right, they're completely, you know, as large as possible, which is, I think, the third level of growth. Yeah, we're getting some good speed here already. When you break them, you have a chance to get 2 mana beans instead of just 1. So it's not a 100% chance. And the other thing is that the 2 mana beans you get will not necessarily be the exact same mana bean that you planted. So you might get different ones. So it looks like this is working. Let's give it a few minutes, and we'll be back in a minute to see, you know, how things are going. All right, guys, we're back. So we've had a bunch of these growing here. Looks like, you know, you can see there I just got 2 from one and I got 1 from the other. So it's not a 100% chance that you'll get 2 mana beans per, you know, breaking of a fully grown mana pod. There we go. I got 2. There I got 1. There I got 2. And there I've got one. Okay. Well, that one wasn't fully grown, so it doesn't really matter. So what I want to do is kind of test this, like I said earlier. So what I'm thinking is maybe having a few of these, maybe 6 over here, and a few over here outside the range of the lamp. How's that sound? And then I'll put actually 2 lamps here just to make sure that, I'm pretty sure having 2 lamps might have an increase in the effect, so make it even faster growth, but we'll see. And I'll come back in a few minutes, and if these are mostly grown and those are barely grown, we'll know. Like with all plant growth, it's a little bit randomized, whether or not the growth occurs, but this will at least give us an indication of whether or not the lamps are also affecting ManaBeans. Boy, I'm having a lot of fun with these lamps, aren't I? Yeah, I kind of am. But, I mean, they're so cool. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. We can already see there's a couple growths that have occurred right here already, and there's nothing going on here yet. So that's kind of a good sign, but we'll know for sure in a few minutes. All right, guys, we're back. Now, obviously, we're burning through some Herba Essentia here pretty quickly. But look at this tree, and then look at this tree. Wah, wah, wah. That's right. I think we've absolutely got confirmation that these lamps work on the ManaBeans, which is pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to pick this guy up for a minute and let these guys continue to grow. And I'm just going to, you know what? Forget about you. I'm going to move these. This is absolutely not going to happen anymore. What I'll probably wind up doing is chopping down this tree, like so. See how nice that is? And planting another one like right over here maybe. So what I could do is something like, I could have one here. I'm also kind of planning out for when I want to automate this, which is probably going to be pretty soon. Now this is 6 blocks in each direction. So what I'll probably maybe want to do is, if I wanted to be really crazy about this, I could have a 3rd mana lamp there. But we're probably going to want to move these a little bit. So if I put this here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that should be plenty. That should wind up hitting that. And then there we go. Spacing so that there's a gap in between. The ManaBean would be here and the tree would be here. That sound cool? But for now, we'll probably just have them all around here just for the time being. And this thing, okay, it looks like it's, let's see, cherry blossom. Well, I guess it's close enough that we can put the beans on there. Cool. We'll keep them here for now, like I said, though. And we'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to harvest the beans that have already grown to full size and finish planting them around this tree. And then I want to look into automating it, because I think we can do that for sure. I think, though, if we want to do it in the most efficient way possible, I think it's time to start looking at a little bit of automation involving turtles. Alright guys, so I'm hanging out right here requesting a bunch of stuff from my awesome AE system. It's time to look at making our first turtle of the season. That's right, I am a big fan of Computercraft, which you guys may or may not know. Computercraft is a mod that adds computers to the game. Now the computers are really neat. You can go ahead and write some programs on them, and they can do all kinds of automation and stuff. The computers are cool. Mostly their functionality is built around redstone signals, communicating with other computers. They can also interact with something called a monitor, which you can display text on, and you can even interact with the monitor by right-clicking on it and doing all kinds of cool stuff. So there's a lot of really neat and interesting stuff you can do with Computercraft. The downside to Computercraft is that a lot of the time you need to be a little bit well-versed in a programming language called Lua. So you can't really do much with these unless you know the Lua programming language. I do have a few tutorials on my channel, nothing too complicated, just a little bit of the basics to kind of get you started figuring out how to do stuff with Computercraft. There's also a lot of functions available online. Now what's really nice is that you can actually upload and download programs to the internet straight from the computers right in your game. So you don't have to do too much outside of the game in order to use some of the programs other people have written. So what I like to do during my series is, if I write any Computercraft programs that I think are neat, I'll go ahead and put them upline on the internet, and then you guys can download them into your game and use them. So while computers are cool and all, what's even cooler are called turtles. These guys are an upgrade to the computer, and turtles are like little robots. They can move around and they can do almost everything that a player can do. Now, in order for them to move around pretty well, you're going to need to get yourself some kind of fuel source. So I'm going to get myself 3 stacks of charcoal here. This will be like a good starting point. And it looks like charcoal is just spitting out all over the place. All over the place. More should be coming in probably from a long distance away. Oh, there we go. There's some. All of a sudden, I think we updated logistics pipes, and now things are shooting all over. So there's two things you want to do with your computer when you first get it, or your turtle. First, you're going to want to label it. And the reason for that is, let me show you. All right, I'm going to show you what programs are on here. If we were to create a program called test, okay, and then just save it, empty program called test, we'll see that that program exists on this computer. However, if we break the computer, and then try and look at that program again, it's no longer there. Because any computer that you don't label is going to lose its programs every time you break it and pick it up. But don't worry, if you label it by typing label set, and I'm going to call this my ManaBean computer. Now, if I create a program called test and save it, and I break the turtle and pick him back up, we'll see that that test program still exists. So that's good. The other thing you need to do is fuel your turtle. So I'm going to give him just 4 stacks of charcoal. This should probably last us a long time because this turtle's not going to be moving all that much. Okay, so we're going to do refuel all, and that's going to pick up all the fuel, and it'll tell you the current fuel level of the turtle. Neat, right? So you can do a lot with this thing. We can have him go forward. Ta-da! And he moves forward. Nice, right? You can also have him go back, and he'll go backwards. Or turn left. Ta-da! So you can have him move around. He can also be equipped with something like a tool. So one of the things we're going to equip him with here is a diamond pickaxe. Now most of these guys need to be equipped with some kind of pickaxe. Usually they have to be equipped with a diamond tool. Some other mods add other tools, and sometimes they can be equipped with those. But really, you know, these things are pretty powerful, so I don't mind using 3 diamonds to automate stuff with a mining turtle. So once we've added the turtle's tool here like this, we'll see that we can go ahead and do other stuff with our turtle. For example, we can go ahead and have him break blocks. Now that he's got a pickaxe, we can do turtle.dig. And what that's going to do is break the block. And the block is going to wind up in the turtle's inventory. Pretty cool, right? So there's actually really 2 things that I did here. I, first off, had the turtle moving around by executing commands and programs called like go. So that's one program that somebody wrote, and it's built into Turtles. It's probably written by Dan, the author of Computercraft, and it's just something you can write. Now, if you want to access some of the individual functions, you can go into a Lua command prompt here, and this is where you can access all the different functions. And let me tell you guys, there's a ton. If you're interested in learning more, definitely check out the Computercraft wiki or the Computercraft forums, or just type help on any turtle, and you'll see a whole bunch of information about programming and credits and all this other cool stuff that you can check out, right? So help programming. It'll give you a bunch of information. So there's a lot you can do with turtles. They're so much fun, trust me. Once you get a handle on how computers and turtles can work in Minecraft, you can have a lot of fun automating a lot of things. So I just created a turtle, by the way, which can break blocks. Well, that's going to help us a lot because we want to be able to have all these mana beans over here getting harvested. So we can do that now. The other thing we're going to want to be able to do is place the mana bean back on the little machine, or the tree over there. And in order to do that, we can call a program called turtle.place. And what that'll do is simulate a right click, and anything that's currently in the highlighted slot, highlighted because it's got this little border around it, it'll go ahead and place that guy right there. And then the final thing that we want to do is get ourselves the ability to collect all the mana beans that we are you know, working with here. So what we can do with that is we can do the following. Come on, chest, let's go. So if there's an inventory in front of the turtle, you can have him do the following, turtle.drop. And what that'll do is it'll drop the item that's currently highlighted into the inventory in front of the turtle. You could also, if you had an inventory above it, do drop up, and it'll drop it into the inventory above the turtle, or drop down to drop it in the inventory below the turtle. So there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with these guys, right? Some people in the past have complained that I use turtles too often, but you know what? I really think that they're useful and cool and fun, so I don't have a problem using them. I think they're neat. One thing that I did between the last segment and this one is write a little program for us that'll handle the automation of the entire ManaBean. So you don't have to sit here and watch me write code, because to be honest with you, it took me about 45 minutes to write this program, and that would probably be boring, an entire episode and a half of watching me type code into a computer. But why don't I show you how you can get this program and use it yourself? All you have to do is type the following command. Okay, pastebin to access the pastebin website, get the code that I type in here, and then the name of the program, I'm going to call it beans. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to connect to the pastebin website. That's where I put the program that I just wrote. So you just type in those letters there, SC, capital E, etc., and then we call the program beans. And when you get that, you'll see now there's a program on this turtle called beans. If we look at the beans program, this is all the code that I wrote. Okay, so a real quick walkthrough of how this code works. It's very basic and simple. It's nothing complicated. What it does is, first off, I define a couple variables ahead of the time. Tree distance is the distance from the turtle to the tree. 1, 2, 3 blocks away. Okay, now if you want to have your turtle be farther away, you can just increase that variable or change it. Ender slot is the slot that I'm going to place an ender chest, because that's where I want to dump all the ManaBeans once I collect them. And finally, tree height is the height of the tree. It's getting dark out, and I don't want creepers sneaking up on me, so why don't I go take a sleep through the night, and I'll finish talking about this program. Oh, and you know what? I'll probably also make an ender chest. Alright, so how does this work? Well, I created what's called functions, and those are just, little groups of code, if you will. Okay, and I created one, for example, go to tree, and it has a little for loop in here, and it says, go through and loop and run this turtle forward command as many times as the tree distance variable. So it says, all right, that's 3 blocks away, so the turtle's going to move forward 1, 2, 3. Okay, the next thing we've got is back from tree. When I'm done, I want it to kind of move backwards to its original position, so I do the exact same thing, except it moves backwards. Okay, we've got tree corner. This is what happens when a tree gets to a corner. What's it going to do? Well, I want it to turn left, go forward 2, turn right, go forward 2, and then turn right again, and it's ready to activate the next set of beans. That's exactly what I told it to do. Turn left, go forward 2, turn right, go forward 2, and turn right. So it's pretty easy to write these things if you kind of think about exactly how you want the turtle to activate, okay? The next one is called dump beans, and what that does is I have it set up to dump all the excess beans we get into an ender chest. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to select slot 16, which is this guy. The bottom right slot is slot number 16. We're going to place that ender chest above the turtle, and we're going to go through all the slots in the inventory up to 15, and we're going to go ahead and drop them into the ender chest. Then we're going to select slot 16 again, break the ender chest, digging it, and then select slot 1 again. So if you think about this kind of like a logical progression of exactly how I want to interact with these things, it's pretty easy to start writing code once you understand the functionality. In order to get the beans, we want to select slot 1. We're going to dig, which is going to break the bean directly in front of the turtle, and then we're going to place whatever bean we got. So if we got 1, it's going to place the one that we got so the next one can grow. If we got 2, it'll place the one that we got, and the extra one will land in slot 2 here. Okay. Then we're going to check if slot 14 has an item in it. If it does, we know the inventory is almost empty, so we're going to run that dump beans program so that it goes ahead and dumps all the beans directly into that ender chest. Cool, right? Harvest beans is pretty straightforward. This is the thing that's going to do all the magic. So it's going to twice repeat the following. It's going to go up the tree, and then it's going to go around the corner, and it's going to go down the tree, and it's going to break these beans every step of the way. And then it's going to do it again. It's going to go around the corner, go up the tree, go around the corner, go down the tree, and then go around the corner one more time, and it's going to go backwards. And that's basically what I have it doing. I have it for the tree height, run that get bean program, and then go up. Get bean, go up. Get bean, go up. Cool? And get bean, again, is the one that digs and checks the inventory. And then finally, at the end, we actually have to call all these functions that we wrote. So I call the function goToTree, which causes it to move forward. I call that harvest beans program, which our function, which will harvest all the beans. And then finally, we go backwards from the tree and we dump any excess beans we have at the end. What do you say we give this nifty little program a try? I'm just going to type the beans command and hit enter. Dun dun dun. 1, 2, 3. And it's going to go all the way up the tree. And it's going to kind of go around. And if you have a taller tree, just change that variable, that's height, and it'll go even taller to match. Pretty cool, right? Now, if we get up to slot 14 filled, it'll go ahead and dump them into the ender chest. We don't have too many excess beans, it looks like. That's not a problem. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Make sure we have some slots here. All right, cool. Wanted to make sure it didn't get stuck on one of those leaves. Cool. So we have a few extra beans. When it's done, it's going to place that ender chest above it, dump all the beans into the ender chest, and then break the ender chest, and it's going to sit there. Ta-da! Program's complete. And it stopped. And now we can sit here and wait for our beans to grow again. I'm going to go ahead and drop down my Herba Essentia jar so that these things grow that much faster. Go ahead, Lamps of Growth. Do your awesomeness. So there's one last thing we want to do. I'm going to run a program called startup. Any program named startup is going to run whenever the computer starts. And here's something very important to remember about computer craft. Anytime you leave a chunk and the chunk unloads, or the server restarts, or if you're playing in a single player game and you shut down your game, when it starts back up again, the computers all reset. They don't remain running while the server's offline, and when the server comes back up, the computers basically reboot. So if you want to make sure your turtle's going to do stuff all the time, you want to create a startup program so that when the server reboots or you quit out of your game, it's going to go ahead and take care of that, and it'll start running the program again. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a loop. We're going to continue doing this loop while the variable true is equal to true, which is all the time. While true, do the following. We're going to run the beans program. Okay, so that's going to do that. What we need to do is type shell.run beans. Okay, and what that's going to do is it's going to run the beans program. Then I want to sleep, and I have to specify here how many seconds I want it to sleep. For now, I'm going to set it to 600 seconds, which will be 10 minutes. So what it means is whenever the computer boots up, it's going to execute the beans command. And then it's going to go to sleep, and it's going to sit there for 10 minutes and not do anything. Then the while loop ends, and it starts over again, and it runs the beans command. And then it sleeps for 10 minutes. And then it runs the beans command, and it sleeps for 10 minutes. Hopefully 10 minutes is enough to get these beans to grow. Now, obviously, with the Herba Essentia, they're going to grow probably pretty good within 10 minutes. But if this Herba Essentia ever runs out, we might not have such a good amount of growth. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, as we get more and more beans, I'm thinking I'll probably want to, bump this up and eventually go all the way up to the top here. So let's actually, you know what, I was out of blaze rods, so I'm going to actually run to the nether real quick. How am I, by the way, for cobalt and ardite? Cobalt, not much. Ardite, yeah, I didn't think so. All right, so I don't suppose I have anything over here, do I? Oh, no, wait, I do. Cool. Ardite, cobalt, nice. I'm going to get a couple of these and start smelting them up real quick because I need to repair my sword. And we got some junk in here. Don't mind that. Cobalt and ardite. Cool. So I'm going to get some manulin so I can repair my sword a little bit. I might even upgrade this guy so that he has a self-repair functionality similar to my pickaxe. Or I could set him up like the hammer and he can be charged with the thermal expansion stuff. I don't know. Not too sure which one of those two I want to do. Let's do the mossy thing. I like that. I kind of like having that. So we've got some moss. Yeah. Let me repair it. I'll do the repair thing later. I want to get just the manulin that we're going to need here real quick. So I should have an ingot cast ready to go. And I'll be back in a minute when we're ready to repair this thing. Alright guys, just killed a few blaze rods, got myself, or some blazes I guess, and got myself some blaze rods. Let's set up one more thing before we wrap up this episode. So I'm going to get myself some item ducts. I guess I'll get all 9 of them for now, and I might as well get a pneumatic servo as well. Just one should be good. There's my item ducts, and my pneumatic servo should be showing up any moment. Now what I'm going to do is set it up so that we automatically output from the ender chest into that storage unit that we've got down in our Thaumcraft area. So let's real quick demonstrate what would happen when the computer booted up as a result of the server all of a sudden restarting, or you going in here. So I'm just going to restart the computer, and what it's going to do here is it's going to go ahead and do the bean movement thing. Cool, right? And he'll continue along up the line. Now, obviously, not all the beans are fully grown, so it's kind of wasteful to be demonstrating this, but that's okay. We're setting something up to automate, so ideally, wait a few days and we'll have a ton of ManaBeans, okay? Pretty neat, right? Now, this guy probably has just a couple extra. Yeah, look at that, 3 extra. Oh, now 4 extra. Awesome. So he's going to come around here, and I've got the second ender chest here, and we'll see here that he's going to drop his beans in there. So we've got a nice bunch of ManaBeans set up. This is cool. Now he's just going to sit here and wait for 10 minutes. 10 minutes from now, he's going to do the exact same thing. Now I'm going to have to keep an eye on this to make sure that 10 minutes is long enough when I don't have an Herba Essentia jar nearby. Because with the Herba, it's pretty good, but without, it might not be enough. Okay, so let's set this guy up like so. We're just going to put this right here. We're going to put this guy here. We're going to grab this thing. We're going to do that and this and ignore. And ta-da, we should start seeing some ManaBeans show up in here. Cool. So every time he runs, he's going to collect a bunch of mana beans. They're going to get pumped into this little filing cabinet here, and then we're going to hopefully have a bunch of mana beans. Now the cool thing about this is most of these have some aspect on them. So this guy has Metallum, this is Potentia, this is Machina, this is Herba, right? So as we collect more and more beans, we should have lots and lots of Essentia aspects ready to go. And what I can do is use these mana beans to make sure that these jars are always full. That's at least kind of the long-term plan. We'll see how good we can come up with a cool thing to do. Unfortunately though, it looks like we've hit the wrapping up point, so we're going to have to close off the episode here, but don't worry, we'll be back next episode, hopefully with lots of mana beans. I'm going to go ahead and refill this Herba Essentia. I've been having to do this a little bit manual, but I'm kind of coming up with a couple ideas on how I might be able to automate this. It's a little tricky, but I'm sure I can come up with something. And guys, don't forget that this is episode 30, meaning world download time. So you will be able to find my world. Head to my forum post. It'll probably be there sooner. It'll eventually be up on the FTB launcher as well. All right, guys, this is Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you've enjoyed the episode, and take it easy.